Okay, before we start part C of lesson 2.1, I need you to look at the completed notes for three variables, the one I just finished, to make sure that you have clarity on it. There was a small costly error, and I definitely don't want you to think I didn't catch it. All right, so here we have a one word problem that has two parts. It says, if 30 pounds of rice and 20 pounds of potatoes cost $14.40, and 20 pounds of rice and 12 pounds of potatoes cost $9.04, how much will 10 pounds of rice and 50 pounds of potatoes cost? All right, so what we need is to construct a system of equations of what we know. To do that, we have to assign variables. Okay, so we're going to let x equal rice amount. Okay, pounds, rice in pounds. And y equal potatoes in pounds. All right, so now that we have that, or the cost, all right, so we have this statement. 30 pounds of rice, 30x, that's the cost for the potatoes, and 20 pounds of potatoes cost $14.40. All right, the next statement says 20 pounds of rice and 12 pounds of potatoes cost $9.04. So now they want us to find the cost of 10 pounds of rice and 50 pounds of potatoes. So let's first solve the system. All right, so we have our matrix, and it is our system. And 20x plus 12y equals 9 and 4 cents. All right, so we have 20 and 30, and they all share a 10. So we're going to make it 60. And so we're going to multiply the first one by 2 and the second one by -3, so we can cancel out the x's. All right, so I've got that guy. Oops, sorry, bad math. That would be twice 2880. I'm sorry, I did a 10. I don't know why I did 10, but I did. Then I'm going to have a -60x, a -36y equals. Now I'm going to have to do that by calculator. I won't be able to do that in my head. 904 times our -3. That is -2712. -2712. Now I'm going to add vertically. This zeroes out. This gives me 4y equals, it'll be an 8, that's 7, 6, and that is a 1, 168. I'm going to divide by the 4, so I'll move it up. Sorry, too fast. So I have y equals 42 cents. And this is for the potatoes. So now we're going to calculate for the rice. So in our equation, we have the 30x, because we don't know what the rice is. We know the potatoes, plus, and this is 20 times a 0.42 equals 1440. We're going to take the 1440 and subtract the 840, and I'm going to get 6. I'm going to divide the 6 by 30. I'm going to get 20 cents. So now I have the cost of pound per rice and the cost of potatoes per pound. All right. So now we're going to solve for the info that we needed. So now we're going to find cost of 10 pounds rice and what do we have? 50 pounds potatoes. All right. So we have 10 times the 0.20 plus 50 times the 0.42. $23. All right. This was a meaty section, and it took me 3 goes to do it. I had trouble with the 3 variable only because of the little math involved, and I wasn't using the calculator, and I would from now on to make sure I don't embarrass myself. And then, but the first part was easy, and the last part is easy. Now you can do your homework after you've practiced and looked at my completed notes. Thank you for listening.